everyone. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here again, back on Dojo Live, connecting experts like you. Okay, this is Carlos, your host in Mexico City. And of course, as ever, we have my fellow teammate, Tulio Siragusa from LA. Hi, Tulio. It's great to have you here again.
How are you, Carlos? I'm hearing an echo. It's like there's two of you.
Yeah, actually, there were, but I was monitoring myself. So please
Awesome.
bear with me.
Good to be here.
Absolutely, I made it. I just fixed it. And last but not least, we have another fellow teammate. Is Iram Aguirre in our Chihuahua offices. Iram, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Okay, and well, our star today is our guest. Today is Mr. Nicolas Gilot. He is the co-CEO of Ultra. Ultra is a blockchain-based game publishing platform designed to put an end to the current PC game market status quo. I look forward to that. Nicolas, it's a pleasure to have you here. It's an honor, by the way. So welcome to the show.
Hi, Carlos. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here today.
Absolutely. We're going to have fun today. And gaming is a fun topic on its own right. And, of course, about everything that's behind it and the business side of the equation. So we're all going to talk about that. Before we can jump into the topic of today, which is blockchain and the gaming industry, ready, set, disrupt. That's today's topic. Nicolas, I would like to start off this conversation with you. So tell us a bit about you and, of course, about Ultra, how it came about, and everything that's related to the company. So welcome to the show. The mic's all yours.
Thank you. Yeah, so basically I started in the game industry probably around 5 or 6 years old when I had like my Nintendo. That's why I got flamed a lot for playing too much when I was a teenager, but hopefully turned out better than expected. So I've been running companies since around a little bit more than 10 years now. Started in the SEO and the web design space with the first company in Europe. And then I moved to China, and then I started really to be involved much more in the game industry. We had initially, when I say we, I think that because I have a co-founder on the company as well, which is David Hansen. And we initially met each other playing Counter-Strike back in the days, going to LAN tournaments and all these things. And after that, we started creating companies one after another. And yeah, we kept playing games together. But to come back to the story, yeah, we went to China and spent a hefty amount of time there creating PC game studios, building FPS games, mobile game studios, and it was something quite interesting. It's like a monetization strategy company. So how do people actually increase the revenue of their games? That was very exciting because you work with a lot of big companies, and they don't really know how to make it, like the free-to-play waves and when all this really started. So there was lots of psychology behind, very exciting stuff. But the last project before starting Ultra, so we built a game console with AMD, a partnership basically with AMD for creating a game console for the Chinese market. So Nintendo dropped at some point, and then we took back the torch and then created this new game console for the market. So that was all until this new project, which is Ultra. So the thing I learned from the previous project was to create hardware, which is great hardware platform. But at the same time, I had to create with a team the software side. And essentially, what is it? It's a distribution platform. So that's like Steam, but on your console, like PlayStation or Xbox does. So we had all this experience. And to go back a little bit in time as well, in around 2011, I started in the blockchain space, so mining Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin, all the fun stuff that was maybe going nowhere at that time, but actually hopefully it did. And now I could merge actually those two elements, which is distribution side and the blockchain aspects that really helped actually solve problems that we had when we were as a developer. So when we had this game, the PC Game Studio, we were like, okay, we have to publish on Steam. pay 30% fee. You have like 300 games every month. So it's sort of a nightmare for developers. For users, it's sort of okay because they find games, but actually many of the great games are also not available on Steam. So there's great games on Steam, but also all the AAA publishers, they usually avoid it because it's just too expensive. You pay 30% commission fee, so it's not really something you want to go into. So yeah, that was basically I would say the genesis of the project. We started around a year and a half ago. We have around now 40 people-ish working on the project. They are from the west side of US until the east side of China. Everything in between, we got people. So very eclectic company. And so yeah, basically the basic of Ultra is we solve the problem of the developers and the publishers in a way which is like solving all the marketing problems, all the publishers they need, because you need a publisher when you're a developer because you need money. And as a developer, it's very hard. So you lose a lot of your money in the pipeline because you have to pay X, you have to pay the developer, the platform. So that's all problems that we are solving with Ultra. And on top of that, we create tons of new features powered by blockchain, which are like allowing many cool stuff I will go into right after.
Cool. Thank you so much, Nicolas. Okay. Topic: the blockchain and gaming industry. Ready, set, disrupt. Tell us about the disruption, and then of course, Tulio, you can take it from there.
I'm itching for some questions. Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, the disruption aspect, I believe, is currently the platform, which is, I would say, the monopoly right now is Steam. They've been around for 15 years. I mentioned they have around 300 games released every month. So it's sort of a nightmare for developers because once they spend their budget in creating this game, their time, their resources, after they have to market the game. And it's not like you put them in front of people and they will see it. You are 300 people doing the same thing at the same time. So which is sort of a problem, right? So the way we do that, the way we achieve this in a way is that we have the capacity, for example, to use the blockchain. If I may take one simple example, as a developer, I can say, okay, I will give 5% or 10% to actually the people who will sell my game. So afterwards, when you have like influencers on YouTube, for example, or on Twitch or blogs, you can actually pick up this opportunity, make a video about it, and then the people who are going to buy the game through that link, the influencer going to get paid right away a percentage of that game decided by the developer. So this sort of capacity is now really great. It doesn't feel like, but when you think about it for the developer, he doesn't have to pay upfront his marketing. You're going to have people who are going to come proactively promote his game, and he just pays at a time where the sales occur. So they wins a lot on that aspect. But at the same time, the influencer, he can also, the better he does his job, the more money he can earn at the same time. And in the games which are like really unknown, very small, it's still highly valuable for influencers to talk about it because there are fewer people talking about it. Which means all those 300 games that you could see, for example, right now on Steam, you will have people promoting them all the time.
Okay, great. So I get it. There's a pretty significant disruption that benefits the developer. There's a quote by Tim Sweeney, founder and CEO of Epic Games. It's actually from your site. It says the game market system is pretty unfair. Most of the money made goes to middlemen, app stores, and social networks. We should not accept this as a status quo. So there's a bit of a revolution. How does this empower the developer? Does it make the developer now the publisher of the games? Can you walk us through what the value, because it sounds like you're kind of turned it upside down, right? So can you walk us through that a little bit? And we have a developer on with us who's very interested in this topic, so he'll probably have some good follow-on questions. But curious to find out what it is that you've done that turns this sort of upside down, empowers the developers.
Of course. So one aspect already when we are talking about being fair and unfair is how much money do you take as a middleman. So right now, all the platforms, Google, Apple, Steam, is always 30%. We made the calculation, and actually, we can do it for cheaper. So there's there's already something there that's different. So we are at half the price. So it's 15% instead of 30% commission. So which means for any developer, if he's already spending his marketing efforts and he has his user coming to his website, he has two choices. Or he send it to like Steam, for example, and then cost him 30%, or he send it to Ultra, it's only 15%, which half of it, we actually give it back to the community. So what I mean by that is, for example, if you are a player, I can bring you, Tulio, on board. And when you're going to join a platform, if you spend any money on the platform, I will receive, as a referral fee, a percentage of that. So which means I'm incentivized to bring more people, to bring my friends, and also to promote games. Even if as a player, if I promote games and people buy them, great, I earn a percentage of that. So the whole idea behind the platform is to allow the players, the influencers, the developers to earn money more in a shared economy environment than it was before. So that's pretty significant because everyone actually has then money in the pocket, so they can spend it on more games and on more items, for example. If you are free-to-play games, it's very hard usually because most of the people don't really spend, if maybe like 90% of people never spend in the free-to-play game. And having a little bit of cash on the account is much easier to spend, which means people are like, oh, actually, I actually like spending. It's actually interesting for me in a free-to-play environment. So all those sort of little features look like small in some way, but they have a huge impact on the ecosystem.
So it sounds brilliant, like put the power back to the people, right? To everybody who's involved in the eco chain. Why wouldn't the major players in this space adopt the same philosophy? What's the reason why they wouldn't do that?
For one reason, for example, in terms of philosophy, if you think about the major player, which is Steam, they are against advertisement in general. So there is no way you can advertise on Steam. There is no such system. They don't have like referral systems. So philosophically, it's already something they are not for. So they would have to change the philosophy of the company. That's already a huge undertaking. Make everyone change his opinion. And the other reason is if you want to go creating all those features, the way to do that in a transparent way when you don't need to trust the third party is using blockchain. And using blockchain for a company that is not running a product that is live, so the product is live right away. And running it on blockchain would be really complicated because they have to change all the system, how it works, and then rethink everything. So that's, to me, that would be a really hard undertaking. On top of that, we have many features which works, like, for example, you have the capacity to be instantly paid. So instant payment for developers, again, it doesn't really sound like something crazy. They could be paid 60 days like it is right now on Steam. But the fact of receiving your money directly, you can reinvest it in your marketing. So when you launch a game, you don't need a publisher. You can actually spend a little bit of money, you get money back, you reinvest, and your sales going to go higher and higher over time. And after that, the long tail going to be much longer and much higher than previously, because they don't actually need, or they crash, or they spend money basically to give to the users, to the publishers. No, they don't actually need to do that. They can just pilot themselves their game launch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I'm listening. I sat through a symposium Friday about health tech, and there are like 3 major players in that space that basically dominate that space. I'm wondering if using blockchain could also create a disruption in that marketplace, but that's a conversation for another interview. Hey, Ram, I know you had some questions. This is a very interesting topic.
This and hey, Nicolas, I read a little bit about it, and I think you're using your own currency, right? It's Ultra coins.
Yeah, that's correct.
All the transactions. It's like a cryptocurrency. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, definitely. So the cryptocurrency itself is extremely important. The reason why is if you want to make a payment to someone, like if, for example, you are watching an advertisement on Ultra, and then you're gonna receive some free tokens. That's how I could pay you like 0.01 USD. That would be impossible. I cannot do that. It would cost me maybe 50 cents to do that, and you would receive it in 3 days. So the fact of having cryptocurrencies, it allows us to have nano payments, which are extremely useful for many reasons, for many features, like the one I was just mentioning. And also the fact of having these cryptocurrencies, you can do an instant payment. If I want to pay you right away, I can do it. And if I need to pay you $0.001, which doesn't exist normally with a USD, I can actually do that. So those elements are really important. And the fact of having these cryptocurrencies, you can also use what we call a smart contract. So what a smart contract essentially is a piece of code living on the internet. So I can't really modify it. I set it up there. Everyone can read it. Everyone can use it if they have the right keys. I would say if they send cryptocurrencies to it. So the fact of having these cryptocurrencies allows also us to activate the smart contract and process transactions. I think that's what you are referring to, right? How do we use these cryptocurrencies? So if I'm a player, I have cryptocurrencies, I can spend them right away on the platform to buy games, to buy items, to buy, I don't know, tournament entrance, or even betting, maybe, the day we go to Malta. Actually, these cryptocurrencies, if you don't have them, we provide you the capacity to still purchase games and items. You can use any payment system like PayPal, credit card, or whatsoever. And we on the back end, we process the transaction in crypto. So we purchase the token to our token holders, and then we send those tokens back to the smart contract, and the transaction occurs.
Nice. Well, that's really interesting, actually, and a great idea, I think. I do have another question, if you will. I've also read that you basically are implementing progressive software download, so the players can like start playing right away instead of waiting for a long time for the game to download. I think that's brilliant, by the way. And I don't know, could you tell us more about it?
Sure thing. So here, the technology we are using was the technology we already used in our game console. So actually, it's not new to us because we already know how it works, how to implement it. We used it and we love it. That's the same technology that is used as well by, for example, Riot. So for League of Legends, you can imagine it's made to scale. No question there. And many other companies, I think Bethesda, Adobe, 505. So many big players in the industry are using that, the license, but actually we have the exclusivity for the blockchain industry, which is really great. So if anyone wants to come, sure. But actually we have this advantage because we already worked together on this project, and we believe it's important that we can control what's going on with this technology. The tech is really great because you have this so stage downloading, like you mentioned, you can play the game earlier. It's very easy for developers to implement. And at the same time, it also has like the last mile pipeline acceleration. So usually that's where there is troubles for download speed. And this technology actually solves it. So it is uploading, patching, versioning, downloading, everything we need.
Wow.
It's cool stuff.
Yeah, it is. I also think...
Tulio.
Yeah.
May I interrupt real quick?
Sure.
Okay. Tulio, I think it's time to showcase our technical capabilities as a company. So why don't we start with the chatbot that you coded yourself, and then we just putting out.
I've gamified this chatbot. Hang on a second.
This is unhackable, Nicolas, so that you know. Okay.
I'm recording.
Okay, ready?
Careful.
Here we go. All right. Boom.
If you have any questions for Nicolas, you can just go here. Okay. Go to Twitter, and by the way, it's
like a micro chatbot today.
The chatbot offers full Twitter integration, as you can see. So go here, go to Twitter, just ask the question on DojoLIVE at DojoLIVE on Twitter. Read it back to Nicolas right here while we're live, and that's how it works. So you know how to use Twitter, guys. Go ahead and do it. Send us your questions for Nicolas. And boom, we're going to be standing by for your questions on Twitter. Thank you so much. Time to deactivate, please, Tulio.
Okay, here we go. Boom. We have last week. It was colorful.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I'm trying new things here because, as you can see, this the chatbot.
Right.
This chatbot offers. You can tilt the chat. This
Oh, okay. It's a diamond.
it's an upgrade. It's an upgrade. You can tilt it.
Anyway,
Okay.
Iram, I know you have some other questions, but before I just want to ask one thing because you mentioned.
Before that, Tulio, you know we are hiring, right?
Yeah.
We are really interested in this thing. That's amazing.
I might have a future developer. Well, I have a question actually, kind of going back to the comment you made about someone can make a purchase using just a regular payment method, and then you convert that back to a coin. Is that a proprietary technology you guys have built, or are you using something that's out there?
Yeah, that's our own technology. So we created this.
I mean, that's a business in itself right there, isn't it? I mean, that's kind of an interesting.
There is many stuff in. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to take us off track. I was like, wait, did I hear that right? Because I don't think anybody's doing that today.
No, actually, that's really pretty cool stuff. There is many things that we are. So right now, what we are doing, as you know, is Ultra Games, which is our game distribution platform. But on the backbone of what we are doing is even bigger. So that's something we're going to announce probably next year. But that's one of the cool features that we are using for something bigger.
Yeah. You know, for 29 years, you learn to listen and hear the things between the lines.
Yeah. Good catch.
Iram, back to you. I know you had some additional questions.
Yeah. So regarding your games, I read that you're gonna have like some AAA exclusive games. Do you have any? I mean, can you tell us more about it, or is it like a secret right now?
So you're right. So we do have AAA exclusive title that we are working on with big publishers, developers. Who they are, I can't really tell. To be honest, for the moment, it's not announced. But those companies are renowned companies. They made legendary games, like stuff that definitely all of you played at some point. Even like a while ago. But those, they're really like huge people. And we have actually not only one company, we have a couple of companies we are also engaging with, some AAA, some AA, some indie developers as well, to produce exclusive content. But the idea basically for this exclusive content is that they are using all the capabilities of the platforms. So a game that is built, that's also why we want to do exclusive games, is so we can show the path to all the developers on what the game can look like in an environment like Ultra. So now you have like all the system for lifetime trading, for the referral system. People do a beta test. Actually, that's a cool feature as well that I personally like, which is for a developer when you're doing your beta test. You don't usually really know. It's usually your friends or people who want to register, but it's always not the right audience. It's people really know the games already, so it doesn't really work. So we have the capacity at Ultra to pinpoint which are the audience that you're looking for. So if you say I want FPS player 16 to 36, for example, you actually can target them and they can participate in your beta right away. And the fact of participating to the beta test, they get rewarded in tokens. And the same way if they do like define bugs in the game, we have a full overlay technology that's gonna allow them to target them. And also if they answer the market survey after, give feedback, say, okay, what did you like about the game? Level 3, did you find any issues? What you think about it? And all those aspects, which are great for developers' feedback, is sort of gamified, so people can do that and get rewarded for it.
Nice.
Sorry, guys. I have a question coming from one of our own teammates internally at Nearsoft right here on Slack.
Not about the job recruiting, right?
Sorry?
Not about the recruitment, right?
We've got hundreds of developers. Don't worry, we got you covered. We can talk offline.
No, actually,
got one on the line with you right now. Go ahead, Carlos.
No, actually, this question came from from Annabelle, from our she's from part of the people development team, And Anabel is asking, hold on a second, it's right here. Can you tell us a little bit about your guiding principles at your company and your culture?
Great question.
Yeah, here the company is pretty what we call horizontal. So all of the team basically start sort of one level. We don't really have sort of crazy hierarchy. We basically try to find the best people we can, and then we give them responsibilities, and then we let them go. It's a little bit special because it's a startup environment. Still, we are starting to be like around 40 people, but still, the idea is to keep this the way of working and this philosophy where people are responsible for their own field. Like we have amazing people. Honestly, we are really lucky that we got these people joining us, like Mike Dunn, for example, used to be CTO of Dell, Time Warner, Hearst. We brought him in because we know the guy can handle this stuff. We don't need to worry about it. We say, okay, this is the plan. This is what we want to do. Go ahead. And then they recruit their own people. They create their own reporting systems, and everything is really healthy. We are also extremely distributed in terms of entity. So we have people in US, in France, UK, India, China, Japan, Romania, a little bit everywhere. So people are really used to all the tools like Slack and everything. And so we work a lot on different time zones. So people are used to provide good explanation on what they're working on, so the rest can handle it. We are sort of working on a like 24 hours schedule. So I prepare something, then someone in US gonna catch up. He's gonna use what I'm preparing, and then he's gonna send it to the guy in China. We're gonna continue on another aspect. So this whole philosophy about the company is to be redistributed, so we can be more efficient and faster in our development and the growth of the company. And maybe another aspect which is important, we try to be extremely connected to the companies. So what we really value is partnerships. So we have big partners in China, for example, that when we start, so they are operating the platform in China. And so we really trust them because our people we worked a lot in previous companies, and they bring 70 million users right away, for example. That's the kind of partners we're looking for, who are like really strong, understand the markets, and can handle themselves in their market, like for China. We have the same for US, we have the same for Europe, we have different partners. That's really something that we have in mind with the company, is work with people. Don't try to compete too much, try to bring in the right people and the right partners on board.
Nice. It's time to add Latin America to your roster as well, so we can help with that. We love the horizontal. We call that a freedom-based, self-managed company. We've been doing it for over a decade. Actually very excited to be taking it to the road. We're getting ready to do some meetups to share with other CTOs and founders how to implement those initiatives. We call it radical workforces. So maybe you can join us in that movement to give people the freedom they need to actually succeed in their roles without bosses breathing down their necks. So I think we're running out of time. This is such an interesting conversation. Is there anything else, Carlos, that you wanted to, any other question that's pending? Otherwise, I'll ask him the final question, if that's okay.
No, go ahead, Julio. We don't have any more questions, unfortunately. I'm sure that more are going to be coming through as we get this promoted, the page for this interview. But no, go ahead. It's
so, Nicolas, it takes a lot of courage to literally disrupt a market and, in many cases, a monopoly. I've lived through it twice in my career, so it's amazing what happens when you see that take flight. Any words of wisdom you have for other potential founders or entrepreneurs or anyone who's kind of on the fence about getting into the gaming space? Any words of wisdom you'd like to share?
Yeah, for sure. So one, I think, key aspect that is extremely important when you want to start your own business, whether it's a game industry or any industries, that you really like what you're doing. That's extremely important because you have to do that every day. And usually it's 7 days a week when you are starting a company. You you will at least put in 15 to 18 hours a day. So that's stuff for you. That's stuff for everyone around you as well. So it's you have to love what you're doing, and you have to have the goal in mind that is something that you truly believe gonna change the world. Like, yeah, people love to say, but I tend to agree. So I think it's extremely important to have like something you like doing, and do it with the right people, with the people you like working with. If you are in a good environment and if you are doing something you like, most likely you are like 5x doing your chance of succeeding. And I think that's really key. Yeah, that would be the to me the thing the most important. But at the same time, the game industry is extremely fun. If you have any chance to go into it, there is many people. Usually, people are extremely friendly. You can just go to them, talk to them. They will give you insight. They will give you their experience, and then you can make your opinion. Okay, is that a good move I want to take? A good step? And usually, yeah, the game industry is pretty cool. You should come over.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I'm going to let Carlos wrap up, but stay on after we go off the air.
Yeah, thank you, Julio, and thank you, Iram. And well, the only thing left for me to do, Nicolas, is just to thank you for being with us today. And we really appreciate it. And as I mentioned, we're recording this, so everyone's going to be, a lot of people are going to be learning about Ultra and what we talked about today. But other than that, again, I send you a big, heartfelt, warm thank you for having me with us. And I'm going to ask you to just stick around for a minute when we go off the air. So as far as the audience is concerned, folks, if you have any questions for Nicolas, remember you can send them on Twitter right here. Just let me get my chat bot. And it'll be there right there on the DojoLIVE website, which is dojo.nearsoft.com. Okay, so Nicolas, thank you so much for having me with us today. And we're going to be in touch. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Iram. Thank you, Tulio, as ever. See you next time.
See you Wednesday.
Thanks, everyone.